welcome back to one of the final ranking my favorite Pokemon of every type videos. We're getting to the end here, chat. Now, the first one actually in Gen 1 has no dark Pokemon, which I was surprised about, but they haven't gone back and added. There's a few glitches and stuff from the older games that count as dark Pokemon, but I'm not counting them for this. So we're going to start with Gen 2. So for Gen 2, there actually was a couple of Pokemon here. However, there's only two Pokemon in this that really scream dark to me, and that is Umbreon and Murkrow. And I'm going to go with Umbreon. You know, we haven't picked many of the evolutions for this, so I'm going to go with Umbreon. To me, they just really symbolize that dark power that I expect from the typing. Gen 3, however, we increased that. We had a bunch of other dark Pokemon. Now, two Pokemon from here actually stood out to me. Actually, three, sorry. So we had Absol, which is like one of my favorite Pokemon ever. Sableye, and then we also had this really cool Cacturne. I just thought that he was really sinister and kind of gave that dark vibe. But obviously, Absol, as soon as I saw him, he captured my love for him, so I have to go with Absol for that. Gen 4, however, we had a bunch of other Pokemon as well, but I think we can go with Darkrai. They were a perfect villain in one of the movies. I really enjoyed them as a character, and also I just like their vibe. I just really think they do a really good job of summarizing up the typing. Gen 5, again, increases the amount of dark Pokemon that we have. There was a couple of Pokemon here that I do feel does a good job of summarizing dark Pokemon, but I do think that we have to go with Zorua. They're really, really cool, and I like that they keep that dark aesthetic with them as well. Let's go to Gen 6. Gen 6 was a little bit interesting, a little bit weird. We had a couple of Mega Evolutions and not many of the other Pokemon, but I do think that I have to go with our weird Malamar Pokemon. I don't really understand why I'm drawn to them, but they have a vibe. Alright, Gen 7. In Gen 7, we had a couple of Pokemon. We had also Hisuian varieties, I believe, right? We had, the Alolan varieties. We had Alolan Meowth, Alolan Persian, we had Alolan Mudkip, Muck, and then Alolan Grimer. And I think I'm gonna go with the Alolan Meowth. They're just, I think they kind of like that dark grayish grayscale. All right, our next generation. Again, this generation was really cool. However, I kind of really like this emo fairy Pokemon, the Margrim. I thought they did a really interesting job of translating fairy to dark Pokemon and having that vibe. So we're gonna go with them. We're gonna go with them for that one. And then lastly, for this final generation, we had a couple of these other Pokemon. I actually really didn't enjoy the Mabosstiff being dark. I thought they were too cute. I thought they'd be an older fairy type. But there is actually a couple of legendary ancient artifacts Pokemon here that I really like, and so I think it's Chiyu is the goldfish inspired Pokemon, and I really like them. Finale though, we're gonna have to go with Absol.